Vampire Survivors launched a couple of years ago, and it's pretty fair to say it shook things up a bit. There are loads of imitators around now. But today, we're going to look at the original Vampire Survivors, but it's in virtual reality.
Be the bullet hell with your face.
So for those of you who don't know, Vampire Survivors is a retro-themed survival game. Not a survival game like Neolithic Dawn, where you've got to manage resources and survive in the wilderness and so on, but a survival game against an onslaught of beastly enemies. It's a 2D game, and you walk across a plain while enemies come at you from all different angles and try to take you out, with the objective being not necessarily for you to kill all the enemies, although of course that helps, but rather to just survive against these waves after wave after waves of enemies. There are bonuses for surviving, like 5, 10, 15, 20 minutes and so on, so it is a difficult game. But it has a really addictive loop, which takes you from being pretty low level and hard to survive for even just a few minutes, through incremental upgrades, both in the game and meta upgrades outside of the game, that subsequently make each run easier. And then it'll drop a new level or a new objective that will mean that the game becomes harder again, and then you wind it down with more upgrades. It's a really simple but very addictive system. I myself was quite late to the Vampire Survivors party, despite the fact I've worked in games for countless years, probably more than many of the people watching this video have been alive. I don't often get that much time to play video games outside of this channel. And so I've recently got into Vampire Survivors and become quite addicted to it. I understand what the fuss is about now. So when Vampire Survivors was announced for the MetaQuest headset, I was very intrigued. How are they going to do that? How are they going to adapt this formula to work in VR? And what they've done basically is exactly what the game says. It's Vampire Survivors, but it's in virtual reality. And that's all there is to it. It is Vampire Survivors as you know it, as it exists on mobile and consoles and PC, but in a VR space. So I often question, I've mentioned it before on this channel, what makes a good VR experience? And for me personally, it's an experience that you couldn't have on any other device. What makes VR special is the immersive nature of it and the feeling of presence that many game developers aspire to. Vampire Survivors doesn't do this. It just takes the original Vampire Survivors game and puts it in a virtual reality environment. Vampire Survivors, but it's in virtual reality. So during each run, you will find enemies drop XP items, little rubies or gems, whatever they may be, and you collect them to upgrade or gain new weapons and abilities. There is a limit to how many weapons and abilities that you can have, and each character that you unlock starts with different skills, be it a different kind of weapon or faster move speed or more health. And the idea of the game is ultimately that you need to survive in this space for X amount of time in order to make these new unlocks. Or maybe you need to be a boss, or maybe you need to find a coffin to unlock a new character. There are lots of different objectives, and so each time you do a run, you can be targeting a different thing. Maybe you're trying to get a certain weapon up to a specific level to unlock the evolved version of it. Maybe you're trying to pursue a specific character, and so you want to complete the level in a specific way, last a specific amount of time with a different character in order to unlock a new one. Vampire Survivors has lots of content in it that is progressively unlockable, meaning you feel constantly rewarded. What's more, in the game, you'll collect coins and money which allow you to buy new meta upgrades. And these can be things like bonus to your XP or increased power or even health regeneration. And they will significantly alter the way that the game plays. So you're unlocking loads of different elements across loads of different spectrums. New weapons, new characters, new levels, new abilities, new meta progression. And all of these things tie in together so that it's a constant one more run feel to the game. Which is obviously what happens with a lot of retro titles. That's the kind of gaming that I grew up in. The kind of systems where they just make you want to go push that little bit harder, that little bit better. And the just one more run feeling taking you through till 3 o'clock in the morning. Now, it's still a great game. It's still a fantastic game. But I have to question why they would do this. The environments it's set in, the backdrops that you get around what is essentially a tabletop are really nice, and the angular position at which the play space is laid out means that a lot of the 2D elements become almost three-dimensional, pseudo-3D. So it is well done. But again, we have to question why this was necessary. Vampire Survivors, but it's in virtual reality, is a great game. But the virtual reality part of it is so minimal, I'm not sure why you would need it. If you don't have Vampire Survivors on other formats, then yes, by all means, jump in on the Meta Quest. But here in VR, the Vampire Survivors version we have got does not have a full complement of DLC. It is the standard game in VR. It is the standard game that you would play anyway, just in a virtual space. Now, we're not going to show off too many of the environments here. Obviously, we don't want spoilers. But the gameplay loop that I mentioned before, the way it progresses, unlocks new levels and gives you more backgrounds in line with the levels that you unlock in the normal game. The new abilities that you get are exactly as you would get them on other formats. The characters are exactly what you get. The maps and the levels are exactly what you got. And like I say, there isn't the quantity of DLC. Maybe that'll come down the line, but right now it is just the base game. When I was playing it, I did encounter some errors. There was an instance where I loaded the game, ready to go on a run, and it simply crashed. And you could see Antonio, the normal starting character, doing his whip, the effect of his whip, but I couldn't see the character nor the playfield. All there was a menu that I could not interact with, despite the fact that the game was obviously running in the background, and I had to quit out to the meta dashboard and restart the game. So, Vampire Survivors, but it's in virtual reality, does have some issues and does need to be fixed. And also, it does need a lot of that DLC content porting over. But it is Vampire Survivors, but it's in virtual reality. So if you're a Vampire Survivors fan and you want to give it another shot, start all over again, then you could do far worse. This isn't a bad game. If you haven't played Vampire Survivors yet, Vampire Survivors, but it's in virtual reality, is a great way to start. If you've played Vampire Survivors and you've moved on and you've kind of finished with it and you're not looking to get back into it, then Vampire Survivors, but it's in virtual reality isn't going to change your mind about that.